What's our seat number?
Bonus.
Hello and welcome to this slightly truncated bonus episode of What's Our Seat Number?
You left me out of the last one, you twat.
Well, now I'm inviting you to rejoin the fold.
You're inviting me? Thanks. I never left.
Across the Devil's Plate.
It was not Casino Royale. Quantum of Solace?
Quantum of Solace,
Quantum.
Yes. Quintus?
Quintus.
So today we're going to be
Jibber-jabbering
about the Halloween trilogy, the new Halloween trilogy.
Wait,
and it is
stop. What's that? You've already done one of these?
Yes, I did it all by my lonesome. And
but now this one includes me.
Yes, it does indeed. Now that you've seen these movies, I wanted to get your thoughts, and I wanted to sort of add a few more of my own.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a chat about the Halloween movies.
Mm-hmm.
You go first.
Thank you. So I won't dilly-dally too much.
Don't.
I've seen Halloween 78.
Yes.
I haven't seen any of the films that came after that.
You haven't seen H20?
No.
Really?
Really.
Because I used to watch that a lot around about the Scream era.
Still doesn't change the fact that I haven't seen it, Johnny.
No, I'm aware. I'm just saying that you used to watch that. Never mind. Okay, so you
over
haven't
the banister, you're saying? I probably must have at some point. I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. So you did the Halloween 78 is your
that's my metric.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is a great metric to have because it's probably the best one out of the lot.
And also it means that I can follow the plot of this Halloween,
trilogy,
confusingly named Halloween.
Yes.
And then Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. Right.
Right.
There's a lot of very confusing continuity stuff, right? With the Halloween franchise, which you went into in your solo outing.
In my masturbatory episode.
It was very good, and I thought that was nice to bypass all of that. I really enjoyed Halloween 2019.
2018, yeah.
2018. It was just a lot. It was a lot of the same, right? Of 78.
It was sort of a reestablishment of.
Yeah. So I really dug that. And then the second one, I also really enjoyed Kills. I thought that the ending was pretty good, right? It was a little bit goofy. Evil dies tonight. That thing's a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoyed the fact that there's this mob mentality going on there, that they're sort of losing their minds a little bit, that the fear what it's doing,
right?
It's this great like violence begets violence.
Yeah, it's
thing.
that kind of thing of like everybody that Michael touches is sort of ruined
Tainted.
and infected. Yeah,
which gives him more of a boogeyman vibe than any of the other sort of supernatural. Oh, he's surviving a gunshot sort of thing. There's what's really cool to me is that he starts showing his age in Halloween Ends, in that he's kind of not got the same strength and constitution. He's kind of limping. I think he's been injured at the end of the second one. Yeah. But
he's still able to take everybody out at the end of the second one.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like his last burst of energy, as it were. And then he spends the next few years licking his wounds while Laurie is kind of healing, right?
Yeah.
And becoming a more whole Zen person. He's kind of living in the sewer. And this is where the movie loses it for me a little bit, is what you said, like that it kind of focuses on this new character. And I kind of like that he starts becoming Michael, it's that what you just said is that Michael is the infection. Right. But he kind of goes out a little bit like a fart in a cupboard.
So there you go. That's the thing, is that they invest all of this time in the Corey storyline, and then he just sort of like
I really wish that they would
floor.
have just tacked that whole
and
ending
he kills himself.
Yeah. I wish that ending where Laurie kills Michael.
Yeah, they would tacked it onto
great on Halloween Kills. It's a revenge thing,
and then it would have made a trilogy anyway.
You never get to see her reaction to Karen getting killed. Right. And it would be really nice if that would have been the ending, was that there was some sort of like revenge thing. But that's all I really have to say about it. It's like it's a very the third one feels very superfluous.
Right.
But then again, the second one does as well, kind of, in a way. Like, you don't really need that. The escalation is cool. And I really liked about the second one that we had a lot of flashbacks to other parts of that night in 78 that we didn't get to see in the original film.
Right, yeah.
Where Frank shoots his partner.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like some really cool...
There's some value in it,
There's some cool value. And then the third one is just kind of like the only value there is that final scene.
Yeah, I mean, look, I personally enjoyed hanging out with those characters a little bit, and I enjoyed sort of it's kind of a Halloween movie at peacetime almost, because Michael's down in the sewer, and the only threat is Corey, and he spends most of the movie becoming a threat.
Yeah.
So you do get to see how those characters interact and exist without, you know, somebody stalking and killing everybody.
I had a bone that I wanted to pick with you about the something you said in the episode before.
Okay, go for it.
Is you said, I don't get that whole seeing evil in somebody's eyes. You've never walked by somebody in the street and made eye contact with them and gone, this guy's a fucking nut job. Like, you've never walked past somebody and been 100% sure that you've just walked past someone who's capable of killing someone else. Not because of their physique, because of how they looked at you. You've never had that. You've never looked into someone's eyes. I have never been able to
see into somebody's soul through their eyes. That is what these movies and these books and whatever, they're always talking about.
Because you can always tell from somebody's eyes whether somebody means well. Like, I've always found that, you know, and I've had this conversation with my business partner before, right? Mm-hmm. Where I've said, oh, I'm not sure about this person. And he'll say to me, why not? And then I'll go, oh, you know, it doesn't seem like they really like me.
Right.
And he says, well, you think that about everyone. And it's like, it's not true, because there are some people who they have a twinkle in their eyes, or they smile at you, or they kind of respond to you in a certain way that lets you know that there's a mutual conversation going on.
So you can get a feeling about a person. But for example, look, Michael's looking into Corey's eyes, and what you see from Corey at that moment is fear.
Yeah.
And he sees deep into his soul. You know what I mean? He's not sort of like, as I said, he's not like looking down the lens. In the context
of the movie, it's a little bit supernatural bullshit, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
But you were saying, look, I've never understood why people say that about people.
No, because have you ever been able to look somebody in the eyes and go, oh, you've got your mother's eyes? It just, because eyes to me look like eyes.
Yeah, but it's...
I don't know.
When someone says he's got my father's eyes, Gomez, take those out of his mouth. Like, I'm thinking, like, you can tell when someone says, because you don't understand why people say, oh, your kids look like, you know, your wife, or you don't understand why people say that. But like, I get why people think that my youngest looks like Shosh. I get that. He does. In it, and they say some people have said to me that, you know, he has my eyes, and it's
I have no fucking idea who my kids look like, to be honest.
They look
I'm a
like
little bit suspicious.
But my point is that sometimes you can talk to somebody, and it's not about, oh, I can see into your soul, and you're a serial killer, and you've also, you know, had turtle soup before. I'm Dennis the Menace. Don't look at me.
I'm just looking into your eyes, seeing if I can see anything, and all I can see is eyes.
We've already established that you know you're about as deep as a puddle. So my point is that it is a possible thing.
Okay, all right, I'll accept that.
But in the context of the movie, it's bollocks. Go on.
Yes, okay. Something that I thought about in retrospect is that in Halloween 78, there's nothing sort of explained about any sort of connection between Laurie and Michael, because Carpenter hadn't come up with it yet. Mm-hmm. And then he was pressured into doing Halloween 2, and they came up with the fact that Michael and Laurie are brother and sister.
Also bollocks.
Actually, for me, that kind of made his incessant stalking of her a little bit more understandable. Mm-hmm. Like, he's going after her because he killed his sister at the beginning of Halloween 78, so it would make sense that he would want to kill Laurie as well. I don't know. There's a through line there. And then when you jump from Halloween 2 to Halloween H20, the chemistry between them is that of the fact that, you know, he's a killing machine and he can't stop himself, but she's his sister. And in this case, there's really no connection between Michael and Laurie whatsoever, right?
Apart from the fact that she was the one that got away from his killing
She was
spree.
the one that got away, but there are other people that got away, especially in Halloween 2018.
But she's also the one who sort of foiled him and caused the most trouble.
And what about Tommy Doyle and, all the other...
Well, they all die, don't they?
Well, they die, but only because they were sort of, mobbing after him in Halloween Kills. But the issue is that there's a scene at the end of Halloween H20 which by the way is completely foiled at the beginning of Halloween Resurrection, which I like to believe doesn't exist, as I said in the previous episode. But she pins him to a tree with an ambulance, and he's reaching out for her, and she holds his hand because they have a family connection, and then she lops off his head with an axe, right? And at the end of Halloween Ends, there's a very similar kind of thing where she's holding his hand, and like there's a love connection between the two of them, which makes absolutely no sense because they're not connected in any way. They haven't seen each other for 40 years. He almost killed her in 1978, and then the doctor drives Michael to Laurie's house at the end of Halloween 2018, and then she goes after him at the end of Halloween Kills, a thread that's never picked up, by the way. And then at the end of Halloween Ends, he's going after his mask, which Corey has. And it just so happens to be that Corey is lying dead in Laurie's house. So that whole showdown kind of seems a little bit happenstance.
Yeah.
And then, when she kills him, she holds his hand as if they have this deep connection.
They do. It's a sick one, though. It's not.
It's a sick one, but to him, she's another victim. To her, he's the boogeyman who's been chasing her for, in her dreams all these years. Yeah. So to me, that the fact that they did away with the brother-sister angle is obviously trying to get rid of a layer of soap opera, but at the same time, it does a disservice to that final sequence to me in terms of the amount of meaning that sort of exchange has with them.
Okay.
The other thing is that we were watching, my wife and I were watching Handmaid's Tale, and I was also watching House of the Dragon and various other things. And TV nowadays is extremely violent, and there are so many more harrowing and disturbing things on Netflix nowadays than there are in slasher movies. And I feel like slasher horror needs to be something else. It needs to evolve. So everybody's doing this kind of violence to better effect. It's not enough anymore just to be gory. There needs to be a lot more to it, like Hereditary. It needs to be more disturbing. Yeah. And slasher horror is very one note. Like, to me, it's never scared me, the boogeyman racing after people and killing them. To me, always the unseen is what frightens me, like ghost stories, etc., etc. So I just feel like it needs to become something else in a way that Halloween Ends tries to do. So I commend them for that.
Yeah.
And I can't help but be sort of appreciative that they tried to do that. But at the end of the day, what it turns out to be is that they just go back to zero again, and they have that.
And they
that
rely
sort of,
on the old tropes.
The old tropes, exactly. The other thing is that Laurie is puzzlingly zen at the start of Halloween Ends. For 40 years, she's been training, driving her daughter crazy, building traps in her home, trying to up her game in terms of marksmanship, and training herself to be this killer. Whereas Michael's still out there at the end of Halloween Kills to Halloween Ends, which is a 4-year span, and she's just like, my daughter died, therefore I'm just gonna, So why isn't she still trying to, prepare for, Michael's still out there.
It's true.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis where they said, where does this film find her? And she said, that she decided to, for her granddaughter, try to heal.
To live. Right.
And live. And she goes to therapy, and she that's what you said, is that she's writing this sort of memoir sort of thing.
Right.
Which is her sort of way of coping.
Right.
I don't think that she's actually zen or thinking that he's not going to come back.
But wouldn't she be shit scared? It seems like the biggest threat at the moment, before Michael comes back, is people thinking that she, for some reason, she teased that man.
She's the reason that
she teased that man, and therefore that's why. That also makes no sense, by the way. Why does everybody think that she caused that? Anyway,
because he was after her.
Yeah,
but he wasn't.
He wasn't. He wasn't after her at all. The other thing is that I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. I'm not sure if he says the entire sentence that I'm about to say, but Corey says something to the tune of, if I can't have Alison, no one can.
Yes,
Does
he
he
says
say
that.
no one can?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get it.
Why would he kill himself?
Why would he kill himself? Because that sort of creates the situation that anybody else apart from Corey can have Alison now because Corey is dead.
Well, I think that what he meant to say was, you can't have her either because I'm going to make it look like you killed me. Which if she hadn't picked up the knife, as you said, wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had a couple of fridge logic ideas that sort of developed over the time that
thank you for
between
sharing those, Jonathan.
Indeed.
And thank you for inviting me to this one. Thanks very much.
So there we go. That was short and sweet, but that was our little follow-up to the Halloween trilogy, or quadrilogy if you count 1978 as well.
You have to, because it's a sequel, as it were, the new ones.
Well, no, yeah, well, it's
you can't watch them on their own.
It's a sequel trilogy.
Yes.
That was that. Now caps off our Halloween.
Well, this caps off the Halloween franchises.
Yes, but it also caps off our Halloween movie.
Just, end the episode, for fuck's sake, mate. It's 12 o'clock at night. Just go.
All right, okay, all right, bye.
What's our seat number?
Bonus.